Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a highly dynamic, incredibly fast-moving weather pattern that's unfolding across the U.S. right now. This whole thing is being driven by a massive storm trajectory crossing the Midwest. We're talking about a true multi-region system bringing a really potent combo to millions of Americans, severe storms, flash floods, and some seriously oppressive heat. So let's map out exactly what's happening, where this thing is headed, and most importantly, what it means for you. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today's weather. First, we'll track that Midwest storm trajectory. Then, zero in on the specific Midwest threats. After that, we'll look at the flash flooding in the Northeast, the extreme heat down south, the national travel disruptions we're expecting, and finally, some essential safety tips. All right, Section 1, the Midwest storm trajectory. Tracking the precise path of this Midwest system is our absolute main focus today, and let me tell you, this thing has some serious, fast-moving momentum. It's essentially acting like a freight train. The intense storm development kicks off this morning right over the Central Plains. Then, by midday, all that concentrated energy sweeps directly into Omaha and Kansas City. As we push into the afternoon, the trajectory takes the worst of the severe weather straight into St. Louis. And finally, by the evening commute, this literal wall of weather is going to slam right into Chicago. It's this rapid migration across major population hubs in just a single day that makes the system so incredibly dangerous. Moving on to Section 2, tracking Midwest threats. The kinetic energy driving this storm path is churning out some highly localized, severe thunderstorms. And to be clear, we aren't just talking about your standard afternoon rain showers here. For Omaha, Kansas City, St. Louis, and Chicago, the primary threats on the table include damaging wind gusts, the kind that can easily snap tree limbs and knock out your power, along with the very real danger of large hail. It's the heavy rainfall driven by these intense wind gusts that makes the Midwest portion of this national system so incredibly destructive. It's basically acting as the engine for all the extreme conditions we're seeing elsewhere across the map. Which brings us to Section 3, Northeast flash flooding. You know, it's honestly fascinating how one overarching national weather pattern can create such completely different regional emergencies. So while the Midwest trajectory we just tracked is wind-driven, dynamic, and moving super fast, the Northeast is facing a totally different reality today. The environment out there is already compromised with heavily saturated ground. So when multiple new rounds of heavy downpours arrive, pushed eastward by the momentum of that Midwest central storm system, the water literally just has nowhere to go. The threat completely transforms. We go from kinetic wind in the central states to a severe, waterlogged emergency out east. The communities caught in the crosshairs today include massive urban centers: New York, Philadelphia, Boston, and Washington, D.C. The absolute key danger here is rapid flooding, specifically in urban and low-lying areas. Think about it. When this huge volume of water hits a concrete landscape, those impervious surfaces cause storm drains to get overwhelmed in a matter of minutes. Urban flash flooding can escalate faster than almost any other weather event out there, so you've got to be hyper-aware. Shifting gears completely for Section 4, extreme southern heat. Now, what's really interesting about this is that while that massive Midwest system races eastward, the southern U.S. is dealing with a totally stagnant, invisible threat. 105 degrees Fahrenheit, and that isn't just the ambient temperature, that's the actual feels-like temperature currently baking South Florida. The intense humidity down there is trapping the heat right against the surface, pushing the heat index to some really oppressive levels. It's this stark, motionless contrast to the kinetic rainstorms we're tracking up north, but it's tied to the exact same atmospheric gridlock that's allowing all these extremes to coexist today. And just to make things even more intense, meteorologists are tracking a massive plume of Saharan dust traveling all the way from Africa, settling right over the southeast later this week. This dust effectively dries out the middle atmosphere. What that means is it severely limits cloud cover and any chance of rain relief, all while making the sky look incredibly hazy. It creates this sweltering, stagnant environment that's just going to push those heat index values even higher as the week progresses. All right, Section 5, National Travel Disruptions. So how is all this dynamic weather actually going to impact your commute and travel plans today? Well, with a system this vast, especially one anchored by that fast-moving Midwest trajectory that literally spans from the Central Plains all the way to the eastern seaboard, the logistical headaches are going to be massive and, honestly, unavoidable. You can definitely expect cascading flight delays at major airports nationwide today, as planes are inevitably forced to route around those towering Midwest thunderstorms. And on the ground, Severe impacts are going to hit major highways across both the Midwest and the Northeast. The combination of intense downpours, severely reduced visibility, and those dangerously rain-soaked roads is going to make transit highly hazardous. You'll absolutely want to factor in some significant extra routing time if you're out and about today. Let's wrap things up with Section 6, Essential Safety Tips. So, the crucial point here is that navigating to these threats really requires a solid plan. First up, constantly check your local forecast before traveling. Like we've seen, that Midwest trajectory is moving incredibly fast and things can change in an instant. Second, keep emergency supplies in your vehicle, especially for navigating that extreme southern heat or those vulnerable Northeast roads. Third, if you are in the path of those severe Midwest storms, seek immediate shelter the second a warning is issued. And step 4, this is so critical for the Northeast. Literally never ever drive through standing water or flooded roadways. It's just not worth the risk. I want to leave you with this final question. As these multi-threat weather days become more and more dynamic, how prepared are you to navigate rapid changes in your own local forecast? We just tracked a single day in America driven by a massive Midwest storm trajectory, which is triggering Northeast flash floods and sharply contrasting with 105-degree southern heat. As these wild weather days become the norm, take a minute today to review your own emergency preparedness. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay weather aware out there, and as always,